Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can keep moving forward and adapting your training, whether it's at the gym or at home, and just how to keep moving forward with your training and keeping up those variations and adaptations, and why you sort of need to do it to keep growing your muscles and to keep achieving your goals. One major way in that you can change your training and adapt your training style is to add in some more exercises, like put in different exercises to your routine. So for example, you could change your whole workout plan. Say if you did a push day, you could change out every single exercise of that push day from like every 6 to 8 weeks. A lot of people tend to do things like that, or change up the bulk of the exercises every 6 to 8 weeks for their training split. However, I don't really tend to do that because I think that's a lot of exercise to take on at once. So every sort of 2 weeks, or maybe every week, I add in an extra 1 or 2 exercises and substitute them out for 2 that I've been doing for a while. And it's a constant sort of cycle of a couple exercises in, a couple exercises out every 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm constantly evolving and adapting that training routine and style to keep my body on its toes, so I'm not getting too used to the same workout, and then I start to plateau and not quite get the results if I were to keep adapting some of the exercises. So that's a big reason why you should adapt your training and keep moving forward with it and changing up the exercises and styles and what you do, because of that your body's amazing ability to be able to just get very good at doing the same thing over and over again, and your body starts to adapt to that training style, and it finds it too easy, and you start to lose the results that you got at the start. So by changing it up, you start to get those new results from you're mixing it up. You're not plateauing as you're doing new things all the time. Your body's not adapted to it. So what I mean by this is if you use something like resistance bands instead of cables, because with a cable, the further you pull, the easier the weight gets, but it's the opposite with a band. The further you pull, the harder the resistance becomes. So it's changing it up so your time under tension and where your muscles are at the most load and the point of most strain is changed by the change of equipment. Just in case that wasn't fully understood from me explaining it, I thought I'd quickly just show a video of me using a resistance band instead of what I'd normally use in the gym as a cable, because with a cable at the bottom of the movement is where there's the most force, as the weight stack is just sitting there ready to be pulled off with gravity, compared to a resistance band at the top where the elastic energy becomes greatest at the top as the band is getting stiffer and even harder to pull. So I'm getting a better top squeeze compared to with a cable I'd be getting a better bottom pull. So this is how you can variate your training through using different pieces of equipment to get different squeezes and hit different weaknesses and strengths of your muscles to keep them pushing and gaining into the future by the change of equipment and apparatus. So that's one way in which you can make sure that you're hitting your full muscle. This may highlight some weaknesses changing it up to different equipment, but it's a good way that you can get better at your weaknesses that you didn't know you had. So an example of this is dumbbell chest flies. So say if you're doing dumbbell chest flies and you're used to doing it with a dumbbell, there's a lot of stretch at the bottom, but when you get to the top it becomes a lot easier. But the difference is if you were to change that up to like a cable fly and you were to do it with cables, at the top there's a lot more strain than there would be at the bottom. So if you were to change that up, that kind of thing, that would be a way of variating your training and making it a more of an adaptation that your body's not used to. It might highlight that you're weaker at the bottom of the fly or at the top of the fly, depending on how you've been training and if you've been neglecting where your weaknesses are. Also, you can combine the two, so you can put two things together that I've just mentioned and make sure that you could adapt your training through combining two pieces of equipment. Here, I thought I'd just show another example of how you can combine the two pieces of advice I've just given. So if you've got a partner, ask them nicely to pass you dumbbells if you're putting resistance bands in your hands as I am, and you're going to see, as I come up to the top of the rep, the squeeze on the resistance bands is so tough and it gets so tight compared to the dumbbells where it's the opposite story, where at the bottom they have the most tension on my chest. So I'm really getting the full workout as they pass the weight onto each other throughout the whole exercise movement, making sure that I'm always having that time under tension and that strain. I know it was really tough, so excuse some of my form here, as it was a bit awkward during the home workout to be trying to hit this properly, but I tell you what, my chest was so sore the next day, and it's still sore 2 days later as I'm filming this, that it's just absolutely showed how this variation of working out, as I did for the first time here, really does hit your chest differently. So you can completely combine the two things I've just said about changing up the equipment and the load to sort of hit the whole muscle throughout the whole exercise, keeping tension higher. So for example, if you were doing dumbbell chest press, what you could do is not just with dumbbells, but you could put resistance bands in your hands and have the dumbbells pressing. So at the bottom, you've got that stretch from the dumbbells, but as you get closer to the top where the dumbbell starts to ease off, the band is starting to really kick in and give you more resistance. So the whole way of the press, you're getting that full resistance and tension on your muscles, increasing the strain throughout on the muscle. So they're never really resting and you're keeping that time under tension higher. So that could be a way that you guys could implement. Putting a resistance band in or putting some dumbbells in or even a cable to see if you can add that in as an adaptation to vary your training and keep you moving forward with the same exercises, but you're just doing them with a different type of load and point of focus. Moreover, you can do other things like go to failure or beyond failure, doing things like drop sets, so you're taking the weight down as if you're squatting or deadlifting, or even doing like leg press. You can keep dropping the weights off and then you're going to a drop set, you're sort of going beyond your failure point. This here is the same clip from the last example. So as you can see, as I've just ended the full load with both resistance bands and the dumbbells, I drop the heavier resistance band and I go into just with dumbbells and the lighter band. So this is sort of the drop set kind of combination I'm putting in here. Also we're keeping that time under tension, as well as just gonna hit that muscle beyond failure if I were to keep the heavier load. So it's a quick way of continuing to hit the muscles. So this was my last set of this exercise. So I was going all out, I was going to failure, I was gonna go as hard as I could. I need some help here, I believe, from Jack, but I go as far as I can and then I drop them again, drop the resistance bands and just go to flat dumbbell press. So I'm really, really knackered here, absolutely feeling it. I'm everywhere, but I'm just keeping pushing through it, going past failure, keeping the intensity high. And there's also a good amount of volume here because of the amount of reps that I'm doing, but it was all really strenuous and really heavy tension, but I definitely did well from it. So I'm sure you guys forget to do this kind of thing every now and then. So it's just a reminder of how you can use these sort of techniques and variations and combinations of the techniques and variations to adapt your training and better your performance and keep you growing and not hitting that plateau. And also doing partials, like partial reps, could be a way forward for going beyond failure, because it's something over nothing, isn't it? As I always like to think, doing something's better than nothing. So doing partials, going beyond failure, and things like that are also ways that you can variate your training. I wouldn't recommend going to failure every set at all in the gym, but maybe your last set as you're going out the gym, or maybe the last set of your, 3 sets that you've done in the gym for that exercise, maybe the last set of the exercise is an all right time to go to failure and beyond failure. So these are other ways you can variate your training. So one of the benefits and something to note about adapting your training is the mental aspect of it. If you're constantly changing up your training, your body's going to also be adapting, but also your mind's going to be more stimulated by learning the new exercises, trying to do them, and it just gives you more of a stimulus to the new training aspects of exercises for your body, rather than doing the same amount of sets and reps and for the amount of time you're in the gym every single day forever. That's going to be very tedious eventually and become very mundane. So you're going to start to lose your motivation there. So that's one of the reasons why you should keep changing up your training, because also your mental aspect to keep you motivated in the gym. Plus the benefits of your muscles will eventually be having to adapt constantly and changing up to the evolving training program that you're going to benefit more from than just doing the same training every single day forever, same sets and reps. Make sure you're swapping up that program, because not too often, but because every couple of weeks, or if you're changing a few exercises or constantly changing exercises, make sure your exercises are being changed at a sensible rate. So if you're doing a lot of exercises as it's change and substitute, make sure it's every 6 to 8 weeks minimum. But also if you're doing a few exercises like I like to do, just keep changing them out every few weeks, just a couple in, couple out. That's another way to keep your body evolving and adapting and keeping your muscles growing so you don't plateau. So this is sort of a zoomed out approach of how you can keep changing up your program. It's sort of like macro factors. There are some other more zoomed in factors that you can do which are more minute, like more volume and intensity. But that's, again, I think that's a big motivation thing to get your intensity up with your head, which is also why you should keep changing up your program, because I find intensity is mainly a mental thing. If I'm in the mood and I'm constantly excited to do exercises, my brain has got to be motivated to hit the intensity to really push myself, and I really enjoy it for that. So I really think that you've got to have a mentally strong head to be able to push yourself beyond failure. Well, not even beyond failure, but to keep that intensity high, because if you're not in the mood for it, it's really tough to push yourself there. So that's also why changing up your training program and your variations is super important to benefit you, not just because of the adaptations, but there's a lot of byproducts and side effects that are positive from changing up your training program that will benefit you elsewhere in your fitness journey. But anyway, I think that's enough for today. I'm going to move on from here. I'm going to wrap the video up now. Thank you so much for watching this video on how to keep adapting your training, whether it's in the gym or at home, and why you should keep variating it. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.